More popcorn.
Waka waka, guys. Welcome back to another Extra Butter Popcorn and Chill episode. And as always, when we do the collaboration with Comic Shops, I'm joined by the host of Comic Shops, excuse me, and friend of the show, Mr. CJ Emanuel. What's up?
What's going on? Look at this. Clean Face Jones. It's a new man. It's a new man.
I got that fade going on right now. I got a fresh cut yesterday.
Hell yeah. I got it. I'm Bald Face Jones, but
what's going on, man? Wow. Let's tell the people what we're reviewing. What are we talking about in this Popcorn and Chill episode?
All right, so
and
this is
headaches, hassles. And the headaches, hassles, and horse shit that has come when trying to talk about this.
No shit. Kidding, bro. Oh shit! Is that your ankle bracelet going off and shit? They got those out there in Brackettville?
Man, I just saw the PO yesterday. What the fuck? Shit. Friday.
the PO and the court and the sheriff and all that.
What's good, man? What's going down?
Yeah, so this movie that we've been trying to get a review in on this movie that we're about to do for what, a couple months now. I feel like almost
two and a half months. I know it's about around May.
It's like the end of May is when we've been trying to get this, and that's kind of the joys, I guess, of running a podcast and all that is dealing with trying to chase down guests and trying to do stuff and not take that shit personal when someone like flakes on you or no shows or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it, let's just keep rolling, man. This is our show anyway, and then like as we continue to do this, if anybody wants to jump in and join in, we'll bring guests and chop it up because I do like that element of it. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I also like just being a nerd talking movies and shit.
Yeah, like being able to conversate with other people and get other point of views, and then like I've done my podcast by myself for so long that it's just me talking to a wall, and then doing this with you and having some back and forth. It always helps to have some sort of back and forth. And then when I'm having guests on my podcast, it does help and it does elongate the episode because you get in that back and forth and different point of views. But yeah, man, sometimes I know we've been wanting to talk about this movie. We're saving it. We're trying to get people to join us. And so yeah, we just said fuck it, let's just talk about it because it's still a hot movie. It's still a hot subject because with Dark Side of the Ring and everything else that's going on, the documentaries and podcasts and people talking about their experiences of that time frame. I mean, if the people haven't figured it out by the title, we're talking about the Iron Claw.
That's right. I even got the collar and elbow joint, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
the microphone blocking it. You know what I'm saying? This is one of my rotations. Oh, I just wanted to shout out Devin because if you remember the Iron Sheik episode that we did, she really wanted to do the Iron Claw as well, but she had some stuff going on, so she's on the mend now. She had a little scare over the weekend, so can't make it. So she's home. She's healing up, and just want to give some love to my homegirl. She's my best friend in the comedy game. She's my writing partner. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to shout my homie out, Devin Benish. Help heal up soon, and let's get out there, hit them streets again. So unfortunately, she had missed a show with our other really good friend Michelle Cantu, who fucking funny as hell, bro. You ever meet her, bro? Mad cool, great, very fucking hilarious comic, bro. But anyway, she really wanted to work that show on Thursday, and just ended up, like I said, having to deal with some medical shit. And like I said, she is on the mend, and she will be out hitting the streets soon. So follow Unclassy Comedy. Look up my girl Devin Benish, bro.
Hell yeah. She I remember she wanted to talk about this movie, and then that's one of the things we couldn't link up is because she stuff was going down and everything.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
how we are, bro. With as we get older, we don't really let a lot of people in what's going on with our shit. You know what I'm saying? So, but we understand.
So get well soon, Devin. Keep doing your thing. And, like everybody else, you're more than welcome to jump on with me and CJ and anything else that we got going on. And so let me start off by saying I'm a I'm a young Thundercat. I was born in '87. Grew up watching basically WCW and then WWE or WWF, then E. But you're some years older than me. You grew up on WCCW, World Class, and the Von Erichs.
Yeah, right.
So
Man.
before we get into the movie, share some memories. What's your of the Von Erichs, or just in general of being able watching World Class Wrestling on Saturday? Was it a morning show? Was it in the evenings? Like lay some knowledge on me, bro.
All right. So first of all, this movie so far is the most CJ is a wrestling Mark fan, and for good and for bad, and we'll get into that later as we review it. But when I heard of this movie coming out, hitting the streets and stuff, or in production, getting ready to come out, I've been trying to steel myself for, okay, this is a movie, they're gonna leave some stuff out and all that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But my origin story when it comes to being a wrestling fan and being a comedy fan, this is half. The Von Erichs are half the reason. World Class Championship is half the reason. The other half is Saturday Night Live. And you asked if it was a Saturday morning, Saturday night. We used to watch it Saturday nights. Me and my dad and my mom, my sister. We were. This was like the Wonder Years era of my life. Like the early '80s, early to late '80s. And so, so my match. The match that is cemented in my brain as the origin of my wrestling fandom was 1982 December Star Wars, Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship I think it was in Reunion Arena, Dallas, Texas. And it was a steel cage match. Michael P.S. Hayes was like, they had the main referee, David Manning, and then Michael Hayes was also in the ring as like a second referee / enforcer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, this was when the Von Erichs and the Freebirds were friends, right? So, so Michael Hayes was in there to make sure Ric Flair didn't do no underhanded shenanigans, and then Bam Bam Gordy was outside the cage making sure that if he bats his ass. So I just watched, and this is fresh in my mind because I just watched the finish of it like on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Just search Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich, Star Wars '82, and so the last, so the finish of that and the screw job with Michael Hayes turning on Kerry, and the Ric Flair's crimson mask, I was fucking glued. I was in. That's me. And then my dad was such a Ric Flair fan, because then we watched like the episode. We watched the following week, and Ric Flair's promo, and my dad cracking up on Ric Flair's promo. It was like, so my dad loved Flair and he loved Dusty Rhodes, man. So my wrestling fandom and my comedy fandom is birthed in this era of wrestling history. So yeah, I've objective and trying to not mark out, but it's can't. I just can't. I have to go full-fledged wrestling mark as we review this one.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I don't remember my parents watching wrestling with us. I know they would let us watch it, and me and my brother. Wrestling for me was always something me and my brother kind of bonded over. Or like he's older by 3-4 years, and so that's why I'm a mark for the Steiners and Harlem Heat.
Oh yeah,
like if you ask me who
my all-time favorite tag teams too, yeah,
because they were brothers.
Yeah.
That was the thing as me a kid. I love Sting as a singles. Sting, obviously being a kid's favorite with the painted mask and everything, and face, but the Steiners and Harlem Heat, because these guys were brothers, actual living brothers. And I'm like a little kid. I'm like, well, I have a brother. He's my. And so when we would pretend to play, we would pretend to be the Steiners, or we would pretend to be Harlem Heat. Like we're playing with other kids, and or even with just by ourselves. Yeah,
like no black kids in Brackenville, so y'all had to be the Harlem Heat.
We were the darkest Mexicans in town, man. I guess. But so the Von Erichs, and like I never knew anything until, of course, I was older. You see that the WWE had those documentaries, and then you hear people talk about. I want to say it had to have been at least 2007-ish. I think it was the documentary or the video that came out about the Von Erichs, where it talked about everything, the tragedies and the triumphs and everything. And then, so I was like, so I was really interested in like, oh wow, there was a wrestling, there was a wrestling organization in Dallas, in Texas, and I think there was one in San Antonio too. I think Blanchard ran it.
Yeah, Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's father.
Yeah, and so, but the Von Erich story is let's just say legendary, dude. You got these 5 kids.
Total of 6, including Jack Sr., who died when he was like 8 years old. Yeah. Drowned in the pool after he got electrocuted, man. Or a puddle or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. And Kevin being the oldest, which I would always assume Kerry was the oldest, but maybe it's just because of the hair.
I always thought David was the oldest because I forgot Kevin was the oldest but David was like the first to get the consideration for being a world champ. So when I was younger, I always thought David was the oldest, but not. Yeah, Kevin is the oldest,
and he was taller too, right?
Yeah, Kevin was like, not Kevin.
David
was built more like Fritz was. He was a big old hoss of a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wasn't like skinny like the guy that played in the movie and stuff. David was like, he looked like he could like work on a ranch and shit. For real.
Yeah.
He was a big strapping dude. He wasn't like cut like Kerry, but he was just a big hoss.
Yeah, so I think it was Jack, Kevin, then David, right? And then because Kerry, and then
Mike and Chris.
Mike, and then there was another one, wasn't there?
Yeah, Chris, the youngest.
Chris,
he was like the runt. He was literally the runt of the family.
And they didn't even have him in the movie. They kind of combined him as Mike, which was kind of weird.
It was because and I've heard, for one, it was like, all right, we already have 3 deaths. We're gonna add it. We're gonna do another one. The audience ain't gonna be able to handle this. So there's that partially true and stuff. But to be fair, I think they still should have, even if Chris was in a smaller, more minor role, or they introduced him later as the company was flagging, and tremendous word for a brother. And well, yeah, I believe they should have separated the two, because there was a market difference. I mean, there was a big difference between Kevin and Kerry and David and Mike, right? Even before Mike got sick, he was like a scrawnier version of David, right? Kind of like, and then Chris was like a much lesser version of that. You know what I'm saying? It's just because he was just sickly as a child. He was susceptible to injuries and all that. And it's heartbreaking because he idolized his brothers, and there was nothing he wanted to be more than a wrestler. And so he didn't get the same opportunity that his brothers did. So that really messed with him and led to his demise. But yeah, I agree. I think that I have a lot of issues with, not a lot, but there's some specific issues that I as a wrestling fan, Von Erich's, super fan or whatever, that I would have loved to have seen going into it and stuff. So that's kind of fun of being a fan of movies and wrestling. You get to put your critique hat on, you get to put your fantasy booker, fantasy director hat on and stuff. But if you ain't, my name ain't in the credits nowhere. So yeah.
But so like if you were to show this movie to someone who had no clue, or it wasn't even a occasional watcher of wrestling, it is entertaining and there's a story there. So if they watch this movie and they say, you know what, I want to see, what else about this family. I want to, dive in the rabbit hole of what, what is this Von Erich curse really about? And then they discover, it's almost like when you make a movie out of a book. The real story is way more interesting and intriguing than what the movie did. But the movie, I mean, the guy that played Carrie, he's a good actor. Don't get me wrong. He's fucking phenomenal. I haven't seen The Bear, but I hear it's really good. But like Shameless, and then he appeared in episodes of different shows, and but I mean, Carrie was a baby face. Like, he was a good looking man. This dude has a big ass nose, and I think what's his name, Zac Efron, looked more. To be honest, he looked more like he should have played Carrie.
That's exactly. That was one of the major points. I was waiting for you to get there because that was like point one. Even going into the movie, I'm like, yeah, aesthetically,
like, right?
They should have switched there. And it's funny you say that. As far as someone who has no knowledge of this story going into it, I was last Russo roundtable that I only got like 10 minutes of time because my tech was all fucked up, but Vince he asked me if I had seen the movie yet or whatever, and I was telling him, yeah, we're getting ready to review it. Because his son VJ, who has no interest in wrestling at all, no knowledge of it at all, was really putting the movie over and was telling Vince to check the movie out and shit. He's like, because that story was just like you said, so gripping that I don't give a shit about wrestling fan could watch this movie as a movie and be like, damn, this story is heart wrenching. And overall, even though I've got some gripes with some of the casting choices and stuff we just talked about, but the overall performances for the most part were actually pretty good. There's a couple of them that there's one or two I'm gonna bury as we get into it, but for the most part, it's like the main core of the cast. I thought they did a good job acting wise and stuff with my no knowledge of acting skills at all.
That's badass, dude. Yeah, like you said, Russo had mentioned that his son, and that's his youngest son.
Yeah,
because I know his oldest son is involved with some production stuff, and they did some things for AEW. They're at DDP's studio and everything.
Yeah,
but his other two children, they're doing their own thing, and and that's pretty cool, man. That's badass.
Yeah.
What was the thing that was good? Oh yeah, so who fantasy booking wise, who would you have put in the Kevin role? Who would you have made play the that role instead of Zac Efron?
I just would have swapped those two guys out. And then the guy who played David, he was too skinny to be David. He could have just put on a few pounds to get almost like a dad bod. It kind of had like a dad bod, kind of sort of, or like an 80s wrestler bod, if that makes any sense. Or late 70s, early, where they're all cut. Like Terry Funk was never cut, or those kind of guys. Even Fritz Von Erich. If you ever see old footage of Fritz, he was just a big German dude.
Big dude. Yeah. Big football player.
German from Texas. Yeah.
The Germans in Texas. Ja.
But man, I used to my favorite Von Erichs were Kevin and Carrie. David I was a little bit too young to understand and appreciate David, and like when he died, I was a little kid. So, and I remember that time, but I've always been a Carrie and Kevin fan.
When did David die? Like 80, 83, 84?
84, I think. I kind of have pages up on. He died, February 84. He was 25.
So it was him and his brother Jack that died of we'll say whether it wasn't suicide. Correct. The other three that passed away.
There's mystery on David's death, whether he was sick, whether it was suicide, whether it was foul play or whatever. So there's rumor and innuendo, but officially it was look, I can't remember. It was medically related.
But I think the other three were suicide, no? Like either gunshots or something.
Yeah. Kerry and Mike and Chris. Yeah,
man. I like that brotherhood, that camaraderie. Wasn't that even the right word? Camaraderie.
there you go.
The camaraderie.
That's tremendous. Okay.
Thanks, Conan.
And so, like, that love amongst at the time, 4. So we'll say 4, 3, whatever it was. Yeah, 3 or 4, because there was never any jealousy in the movie. There was never any jealousy. There was never any issues whenever, like, Fritz kind of, like in the movie, you see Kevin is the first one to get the title match against Harley Race. Then when you think he's going to get a second chance, he doesn't get a second chance. Harley eventually loses to Ric Flair. You see the disappointment in Fritz in the movie. And even Fritz says it in the movie. He's like, Kerry's my favorite, then Kevin, then Mike, and then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
You always go move up and down.
I was like, wow. And so the boys are basically, in a way, competing to be the top bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but at the same time,
in wrestling, in the NWA, Fritz had a lot of stroke.
They're not hating on each other.
Fritz had a lot of stroke in the NWA. You know what I'm saying? He was a president for a while. So, this was like their ticket to the top. This family was supposed to be multi-time world champions and shit. Just among the 3 of them.
Yeah. And so like whenever David gets the opportunity and he kind of looks at Kevin, he's like, hey, and like he's basically saying, hey, this, I guess, is like, in a way, this is what Dad wants, but like it is, and you can tell that he knows that it's not David's, like it's not you're trying to go behind my back. There's no backstabbing, there's no kind of like ill will. Like, of course, brothers are brothers. Brothers are gonna bicker and fight and but to see it at this level where it's like they kind of keep it in and they don't lash out with each other, knowing that the dad is kind of the master, the puppet master, and we're like saying, okay, well, hey, Kevin had a shot. Huh?
Yeah, it's kind of like, like the Joe Jackson of wrestling in a way, kind of,
Who's little Michael?
Kerry was going to be the biggest star. Kerry was going to be the Michael of the group. David was probably Jermaine.
Who's the Tito?
Tito was probably. Probably don't have, because there's 5 Jacksons for Jack. Jack was Tito because he was the oldest. So yeah, Jack by default. So Tito dead in this one.
Oh, Tito dead. Pobrecito Tito. Pobrecito Tito.
Kerry would have been. Yes, Kevin would have been Jermaine. Michael would have been Kerry. Yeah. Okay. And Jackie and Marlon.
What pops me, or kind of pops me, what the parents, like you see in the film, like Kevin goes to his mother because he sees that his dad's being a little hard on Mike, and he goes up and he's like, hey mom, can I talk to you for a second? And she's like, that's what you have your brothers for.
Yeah. So
it's like, where's the love here? They even take off in his wedding to go fuck in the movie.
She's like, my name is Paul. That's between y'all. I know, right? She's like,
that's like, I don't feel bad that your kids are fucking dropping like flies, man. Y'all some assholes. The casting director, with that one hiccup, she basically hit it out of the park, don't you think? I don't know what Pam looks like in real life, but
Kevin's wife, I'm not sure either. But yeah, the 2 female leads who played Miss Doris and who played Pam, I thought they both were very, very good.
That song that David plays,
I wanna that one
is slow build, and it's a constant, like the same word over and over. But after a while, you start like I just remembered, like, I wonder if it's on Spotify or something.
I know, I was sitting there,
and I listen on Spotify, and I listened to that one time because this shit takes for fucking ever. But for a second, I thought it might have been a Rush song, but I don't. I think it was an original.
It might be. I'm gonna have to look that up, man, because I actually did kind of like that out, and I do have like a
It feels like a Rush song, right?
I'm not
Or is it just
that
me?
well versed in the Rush, except for their main Tom Sawyer,
Tom Sawyer,
and maybe like one or other two songs, whatever.
Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, and like, oh yeah, that was the other thing that that used to be Kerry Von Erich's entrance song back in the World Class Championship days, back when they didn't give a shit about,
Or maybe that's why I think it's Rush, because they did use Tom Sawyer.
That Kerry used to come out to that on TV on World Class, and that show was huge, man. Not just in the U.S. but in Japan and Israel in particular. The Von Erichs were highly over. I remember going when I was in Israel on my second ship on deployment. This was like 25 years ago. And somehow we got to talking about world wrestling, and they said, "Oh, Von Erichs, yeah, I remember Von Erichs." I was like, "Damn, forgot they were over here." Yeah,
you want this duck to go?
Like,
that's badass. Yeah, I mean, hell, Japan would. I know, like in the foreign countries, like you had top A-listers, celebrities doing freaking cereal commercials.
Oh, like, yeah, like George Clooney, you know what I mean? and
yeah, that was wild.
That check, yeah.
So I mean, it stands like obviously they would have. I wouldn't say the Von Erichs doing commercial for them, but like they would get, I guess, like reruns or something.
Yeah, syndications and all that. And World Class Championship Wrestling was like one of the first of the. This is back during the territory days. They were very innovative when it came to production values and stuff. Even stuff that WWE ended up taking from them, as far as worldwide distribution, multi-camera angles, all that shit was innovated out of World Class, man. So that organization, that part of history, this family has a very significant piece in. It's not just a bunch of tragedies and deaths and all that, and all that is true, but just Fritz Von Erich's influence in wrestling and part of the evolution of it. You know what I'm saying? He was like a guy who used to work, he worked for Vince Sr. He worked for Mushnick and Mushnick, what's his name in St. Louis? Why am I spacing on Sam Mushnick? And so that this family was really, instrumental in the history, for better and for, and watching that downfall of the company. I just remember, I remember Kerry going to WWF in 1990 and all that shit, and it's changed to the USWA. And by the time like you hear like Steve Austin this was the company that Steve Austin worked before they became USWA, and so I was already done with this and done with them by the time Austin had come through. So I started to kind of fade out after Kerry died. I was kind of done with wrestling for a while,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Because Austin came up through Chris Adams' school.
Yeah,
and
Chris Adams was like he was a Von Erich's ally back in the day, so I was a big fan of his. I was a big fan of Iceman King Parsons, So those are like they were down with the Von Erichs. They were down with me,
Oh man. So what was the Freebird Von Erich rivalry like watching it?
This is the biggest point I got heat. So because
I'm glad that I bring up random things and it triggers. It's like, oh yeah, boom, oh hell yeah.
Oh.
This is not going to be an hour-long podcast.
He that little vignette with the Freebirds did not do that rivalry with that family any justice. And the fact that, even though I'm 100% biased, but the fact I felt that they could have started the cage match with Kerry and Ric Flair, that could have started. That could have been an opening match. That screw job, the interaction with the Freebirds and all that, because if you don't have the Freebirds, you don't have the Von Erichs. You don't have that rivalry. They don't they're not global. You know what I'm saying? So I
Uh,
was really disappointed in the way they were just kind of, you know,
and they were just shown and then not shown again.
yeah, no speaking points, no not as much as good on the mic. Pause. As Michael Hayes was as a good talker, bro, he could have got some dialogue, whatever. And so that, like I said, that was the match that, you know, that was the match that kind of got me into wrestling. And then I have an older brother who lived in Florida and stuff, and when he stayed with us for a little while. He was such a Freebirds mark that, you know, he showed me a lot of this stuff that they did and used to talk about the stuff they used to do in Florida and all that stuff, man. So I was highly disappointed that the Freebirds and Ric Flair in particular, and they could have weaved Ric Flair in a lot earlier and helped tell that story. And the person who portrayed Ric Flair, I'm like,
Yeah.
that I don't know. Hell, I'm like, I wrote down, I said MJF as Ric Flair, missed opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
And he was in the movie, right? He played the fake Von Erich, but he wasn't in the movie. He
played
I think
Lance.
cut his scenes out.
He said like the speaking part that they had with Lance getting in there was a cutting room floor. And for those who don't know who Lance Von Erich was, so after
David died,
Mike
right?
died, after David died, I can't remember if it was sometime between David and Mike dying. They tried to have they had this guy named Lance Von Erich who was a cousin of the Von Erichs, right? The problem with that was that the guy that they chose to be the cousin, and this is still during the wrestling is real days. People believe that these are all real people. The guy was like he was like a local athlete, so people knew who he was. So like, wait a minute, this dude's not Fritz Von. He's no relation to Fritz Von Erich. So it ended up being a big scandal, and Fritz had to come clean and be like, okay, so yeah, there's no affiliation with Lance Von Erich, and they just kind of shit on him and just kind of pretend that didn't happen. There was a couple of little questionable booking things that Fritz kind of did. There's that. There was the he faked a heart attack. You know what I'm saying?
I think it seems like he tried to pull a Dukes of Hazzard switcheroo. Remember back in the day when Dukes, I think for like part of a season,
they
brought the cousins in, and then it was like, okay, but it was a TV show.
That was a good reference. Good reference.
The fans of Dallas, you know, they grew up they watch these kids grow up. They know, you know, they're gonna know, you know, the ins and outs of this family.
Yeah.
You know, some fans today go out above, you know, the necessity of just staying in their lane. They go out and they go dig through people's trash like it's wild. So like you know, for that to go down,
was the Colt and Vance of the wrestling family. Yeah.
It would have been badass to see MJF because MJF is entertaining, and I mean we see Chavo. I think Chavo played the Sheik.
Yeah, in the opening sequence. Yeah,
in the opening scene, he's like, he's Latino. What the hell?
Because I didn't see him the first time. I was expecting to see him later, and then I saw it this time. I was like, oh yeah, okay. And I still didn't see MJF. I was like, damn, where was that piece? So I had to go back and watch it again, just to. But now if I do that, I'm gonna have heat on it. I was like, because they kept building them. They said MJF is Lance Von Erich. MJF is in this. So I'm like, at least I have like a small scene. And so that was let down.
But yeah, I remember seeing people shit on the Ric Flair actor, the one that they used, and
the dude was too old, man.
Was a little.
Harley Race wasn't that old in 82, man, or 84, whenever that match was. He wasn't that old back then.
Wasn't one of the Nemeth brothers in the movie?
Yeah.
Zach. I mean,
Ryan. Was it Ryan or Zach?
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, because Nick is Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I think he played. Didn't he play Gino? Hold on.
That's what it was, Gino. Yeah.
Oh man, talk about another tragedy, and he was another one who could have been a star, who was on his way.
That could probably be the next in some sort of Iron Claw universe type of stuff, you know?
What's that?
If they do a movie on Gino Hernandez, and then Zach and
those guys
man.
Yeah, He was kind of like a Latino Ric Flair a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
And he was a hell of a he was a smooth worker, and he was good as a babyface. He was a great heel, man. Gino was fucking awesome. But he liked that nose powder too much.
Oh man, what else? What else is on?
Fucking sugar.
De cocaína.
I thought the dude who played Harley Race damn near nailed it. You know, all he needed was like a little, there was a while where Harley had like that little curly Jew fro kind of, or I don't know if we're allowed to say those anymore, but he had like a little perm back in the day. But other than that, he had that soul glow. Yeah, the dude who played Bruiser Brody, I thought he nailed it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm still hot about the Freebirds. I'm not gonna get over that.
One thing that was pretty cool, pretty interesting that I didn't even know of was that the U.S. didn't the U.S. didn't participate in the Olympics of the 1980 Olympics. 1980,
yeah.
And Kerry was on the shot put or the discus team.
Yes,
and was on the verge of going.
Yep,
that's crazy.
He was an Olympic caliber athlete, and I'm trying to remember where I think I saw somewhere. It might have been the documentary that the WWE produced about the Von Erichs, where Fritz was an Olympic caliber athlete and would have gone in Rome, but at that time you had to declare amateur status, and he was like he already had Jack Jr. and he's like I got kids to feed. So he didn't have amateur status and couldn't go to the Olympics. That's what I think. Wow. I remember that, but I can't. It's
been a while since I've seen that one. I want to go back and watch it. I think that was one of the things I wanted to do before I saw the movie. We're getting close to the hour mark. What other notes did you have on the movie and points did you want to get to before we wrap up soon?
All right, so. Oh, one more thing I got heat with, and it's like if they can clear Tom Sawyer, they can clear the Cowbell song, they can clear all these songs, but they couldn't get the World Class Championship theme song, that iconic.
They didn't, did they?
That was the most. I was so like that was like the first time I was like, uh-oh. There might be trouble. This movie might suck. You know,
that's right. They didn't have the freaking TV, like, because they were talking about, oh, we're gonna be on ESPN, all this that. They could at least cut, and they had the dude playing the announcer.
Yeah, Bill Mercer.
That is what I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So, little known fact about Bill Mercer: he actually covered the Kennedy assassination. He was a news reporter in the Dallas, Texas area, and so.
Oh wow! When it went down,
he was there when it went down. He covered it. So yeah,
back when president assassinations were successful.
Oh yeah. He got more than Kennedy's ear on that day, bro. Shit, all was left was his ear. Damn, too soon.
Back into the left. Back into the left. This is a perfect part where I should kind of put in the music from that music selection I put in a couple years ago. Yeah, bob your head to it real quick because I know I'm gonna edit it in.
You'll want to get out of the comedy business immediately, man. Because if that's comedy, bro, I want to be a plumber.
Damn, Vince, that's cold, bro. Jeez,
I got a clogged up toilet, Vince. If you want to come to bring your plunger.
Whoa.
We drop bombs in this house, Playboy.
Drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Oh man,
So overall, like if you know anything about the Von Erichs, you'll really like this movie. If you know a lot about this Von Erichs and you can put your bias aside and just appreciate the movie for what it is, it's a good movie. I watched it twice, within the span of 2 months and stuff. So you don't have like a ranking system like bag of popcorn or anything like that. But if you were going to go like small tub of butter or small bag, medium, large,
we do the Colonel rating
Colonel. Okay,
courtesy of friend of the show, Keebler Cholo.
Okay, so what's the different colonels?
Yeah, like
What's the one?
rated 1 through 10. So one colonel, 10 colonel,
Oh,
10
just
being the
number.
most.
Okay, so out of 10, okay, so I'd give it about a 8.5 colonels. Yeah, I'd watch it again. Yeah, 8.5, 8.5 out of 10.
And
Yeah. So if you're a wrestling fan, you're
I really enjoyed it. And
movie
it
fan,
pulls at the heartstrings.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's a very sad
So
story.
yeah, I'm right there with you. 8 or 9. So 8.5, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely watchable.
Because I
again.
mean that ending, bro, where he's carrying Carrie's body, and then you see Carrie on the boat, and he meets his brothers in the afterlife.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was
Beautiful. And then when Kevin is just sitting there, and the boys don't know anything. They're kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I used to be a brother." He's just sitting there thinking, he's reminiscing. As like, and then the boys, that's what kids do, man. They take you out of your funk. They make you realize, don't sweat the small. Like it's not a big deal in a way, I guess. But they're like, "Oh, we'll be your brother, Dad." Beautiful ending. It's a wonderful story. And like you said, if you didn't grow up, if you didn't know the details of everything World Class and Von Erich, but yeah, you're gonna have some issues with some of the details like you brought up and everything. But
they had to, and it's hard enough to do a 2-hour biopic, however you pronounce it, on just one person, let alone 4, 5. You want to include
a whole family,
a whole family. And so they had to use some creative license with the timeline of things, and like I said, we covered some of the glaring things that I had heat with and omissions and stuff. But overall, like you said, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's not a historical. It's a telling of a story of a wrestling family, a significant wrestling family. So go into that. And spoiler alert: all but one of them die. You know what I'm saying? So sorry to spoil.
The cat dies, the dog dies,
probably. So that was kind of, when with Kevin talking about he didn't want to give the boys his last name, that kind of really fucked with me a little bit. I was like, wow, that's pretty deep, man. But
yeah, because in the movie he really believes the Von Erich curse.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to argue, How you describe it, but I'm glad.
So what is up in the Comic Chops universe? What do you got planned? What do you got going on? What's dropping?
All right, so I've been going back and forth between the Devin episode and the Vince episode. So I think my focus is going back towards the Devin episode, so that because I still want to reach out to Vince and ask him for a favor and stuff. So a couple of favors. So I'm working on the Devin episode and that's the one that we recorded right around the time that we did the Iron Sheik. So I'm going to get into the editing bay this week and start working on that one again. Because I'd get to a certain point and then I'd be like, nah, I don't want to do this. I want to do this now. And then I go work on that. And then when I'm working on it, that's what took me so long with getting episodes 1 and 2 words out. Because it's like, whatever I'm working on, I'm thinking about the next one and the one after instead of just getting the one that I'm working on fucking done. Well, just follow me, man. Just follow me at CJ Tells Jokes. And if you're in San Antonio and I'm working a show somewhere, come on out, man. And matter of fact, Disco, he's got some advice for you if you want to come check out a CJ Emanuel comedy set.
Okay, I want to make a special announcement. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the store right now, okay, and buy vegetables, okay? And I want you to take the vegetables and sit them outside, okay?
Right.
And 10 days from now, when the vegetables are rotten, I want you to get a bag, put the vegetables in the bag, and when he's performing, I want you to throw the vegetables at him. Okay? So if we can get some video of that, I'd like to see. Post video, and we'll shout you out on the podcast.
Damn. These are our friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. These are the people we're fans of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Go watch the movie. Go support CJ in the San Antonio and surrounding areas when he's doing comedy in your neck of the woods. Any shows coming up, brother? What's
of now,
how's the stand-up going?
Not yet. I don't have anything booked as of now. That could change when I go out and hit a couple old mics this week. But as of now, I don't have nothing. I'm just kind of chilling, trying to prepare for this. There's a Veterans Showcase Comedy Festival going on in Austin and in San Antonio, like in the fall. So I'm thinking about applying for one of those spots, either in Austin or San Antonio. So if anything comes from that, then I'll let y'all know, and I'll put that out on my Instagram and Twitter and what's the Instagram? X.
Oh yeah, Facebook
and Threads. Yeah, and Facebook. You can follow the Comic Chops page. Eventually I'll start posting shit on there. You know what I'm saying? But
I've been thinking about getting on Threads. How is that? Is that pretty Twitter-like?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid of Twitter and Instagram. It's like Instagram's version of Twitter, as a matter of fact. So anything you post on Threads, anything you post on Instagram will post on Threads, and vice versa. You know, well, I think with Instagram it's only photos, but yeah, you can do regular photos. You can do just like Twitter with Threads. So
yeah, Twitter brought back nudity.
Oh my man, that's wrong. Is that why they went back to X? That's the real reason why they wanted to call it X.
It's gonna give it to you. Oh man. But yeah, go follow CJ at CJ Tells Jokes. Of course, it will be in the description. Go like and subscribe his podcast, Comic Chops, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as Extra Butter, Shut Up and Refill My Popcorn, and all the platforms in the link tree. Little update on the website. I decided to take the website down and just strictly use Linktree and Letterbox for any coming soon and basically episode plugs and stuff. So, that puts a little change back in my pocket. And I'm designing some more t-shirt designs and stuff, but I'm still working on a few, and I might just make them t-shirts. I think there's hats and stuff on there. I don't know. I might just switch up the t-shirt company. That being said, take care of yourself and the people you love. Nanu. Peace.
Take care, everybody.